Come and dream with me.
Hello, welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for Space Jam. I'm actually hopefully joining me today.
We're here to talk about sports that I actually liked, the movie Space Jam.
Yeah. Alright, please be aware that we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the plot themes in any of the films, so if you haven't watched the film Space Jam, don't know why you wouldn't have at this point, but, come back later. It's currently available to stream on Netflix, Binge, Foxtel Now. So let's jump into our discussion of Space Jam, directed by Joe Pytka, released 1996, written by Leo Benvenuti, Steve Rudnick, Timothy Harris, Herschel Weingrod, based on Looney Tunes by Warner Brothers, starring Michael Jordan, Billy West, Wayne Knight, Theresa Randle, Danny DeVito, Bill Murray. In a desperate attempt to win a basketball match and earn their freedom, the Looney Tunes seek the aid of retired basketball champion Michael Jordan. Of course, we're discussing this kind of in the middle of Space Jam: A New Legacy about to release. It's set to be released 15th of July, but there are currently advanced screenings, which hopefully we'll have gotten to by now, I guess. But Dylan, what are your memories of Space Jam? I guess that's a good point. When do you know when you saw it?
So,
the first time?
I come bearing childhood Dylan story moment.
Yeah. Great.
Basketball, this may surprise a lot. Basketball was the first sport that young Dylan ever got into and wanted to play. I had, when I was a little kid, I don't know what you call it. You know, like a freestanding hoop thing where it's got like a weight thing on the bottom so it doesn't like bowl over?
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
I know. I'm sure they have an official...
Fill the base with water.
Yeah, I'm sure it has like an official title. But so I got one of those. It was a Michael Jordan one. It came with a VHS where Michael Jordan talked to you and showed you moves and how to shoot hoops and all this sort of stuff. And like to explain to people what type of VHS this was, it was picture the scene out of whatever Captain America where he sits down and spins around the chair. It's like, listen, kids, like this is but it's Michael Jordan.
So you want to play basketball?
It's pretty much him being like, so thanks for buying my thing. Do you want to play? So, I loved. Weirdly, all the way in Tasmania, I was like all about Michael Jordan and basketball when I was a little kid. So, of course, I loved Space Jam. I did not see it at cinema though. It came out when I was still too young. I did not go to cinema. I did go see Looney Tunes back in action at cinema though. I was old enough. Yeah. Then. But this one I watched a fuck ton out of on VHS. I can't remember where I was when I watched it the first time, but it was VHS. We just rented it or whatever. And it was after I'd already gotten to basketball. So it was more like, I'm going to grow up to be a basketballer. Oh, there's this Looney Tunes movie with Michael Jordan in it. You want to watch that? What? That mind-blowing thing that my dad probably was like, oh. So we went and rented that. I watched it. It's probably only out like a year or so at this point. We just never haven't watched it. So I loved Space Jam growing up. I watched it a lot growing up, quite often. Very funny movie, very easy movie to watch. It's been quite some time since I watched it though. It's still fun, but the one thing, because I haven't watched it quite so long, I was like, fuck, this movie is simple and short.
Yes.
Like, it has a whole setup at the start where there's things happening. You have the scene... Danny DeVito's alien, whatever his name is, I can't remember. He's like, Adventureland, find people, sends people. You got Michael Jordan being like, I'm struggling with the whole baseball career. And then you got this family scene. And then you got this golf scene. And then you've got the little aliens going to Looney Tunes world. And you've got like a lot of back and forth here. But like the second Michael Jordan gets to Looney World, from then to the finish is so
sprint.
It happens and the credits were rolling. And I was like, wow, there really is in any other movie, they'll be like, any other sports movie, they play a match and lose, there's like a dramatic scene, there's like, all these sorts of things. This movie has one. It's pretty much like training session, they're into the game, They have the halftime locker session. They're back, credits, and they do the typical end to a basketball movie where they need to make that last shot within the last couple seconds, blah, 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 blah. But holy shit was I surprised, because I'd forgot just how much, sprint's a good word. Sprint, the finale of this movie. Still enjoyable. Still enjoy it. It's a great movie. Well, hold on, I'll clarify. I don't actually think it's a good movie. I think it's a great movie if you grew up watching it. I think as a movie, its special effects aren't very good and they don't hold up too well. I think Michael Jordan's a terrible actor in this. And I think you either have to be a Michael Jordan fan or a Looney Tunes fan or a kid to get enjoyment out of this. Or if you're obviously any of those as a kid, like I was, I'm just going to be able to continuously watch it for nostalgia reasons and be fine with that. So, yeah, I, of course, enjoyed this rewatch of Space Jam.
Yeah, I think I doubt I did see it in the cinemas. Obviously, it's obviously a long time ago. I would believe that the first time
I would have been
was on
6,
VHS, but yeah,
or 5,
or maybe it was on like TV one night. That's a possibility. But yeah, obviously, very nostalgic for it. Have a lot of good memories of it. But yes, rewatching this like with a critical eye now in 2021. There's so much setup, like really good, interesting setup. But yeah, as soon as he goes to Looney Tunes land, it's like full bolt straight to the ending. Like get in as much as you can for as little time as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that for budgetary reasons, like because the second half of the film or that portion of the film is obviously so animation heavy. It's like we've got to cut down on it as much as possible, so make it as short as possible. All the like live action stuff we can.
Yeah,
take
I'm pretty sure they added Bill Murray's just so they didn't have to animate another Looney Tunes character.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I really enjoy it. Like, really enjoyable, but on this rewatch, you're like, wow, they didn't really actually play that much basketball. Like, heavily montage sequences.
And has no rules.
Yeah, I mean, the game has no rules. I mean, they full on have... they pull out guns.
Yeah.
I don't know whether... I don't know whether it was just I was streaming on Netflix. When they do, like, the Pulp Fiction, like, parody of Elmer Fudd and Daffy, like, pulling out guns, I think. Like, it did, like, a hard cut.
Reservoir Dogs, where they...
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs. I don't know whether it was just
I thought that was just Wales. Yeah. I don't recall it being different.
Originally?
I don't know. I
know, it was just a weird hard cut. Yeah, and there's other, like, little things. You're like, wow, Lola Bunny really wasn't in it a hell of a lot, and yet she's become this massive...
I was going to say, do you want to talk about Lola
in
Bunny?
Looney Tunes history?
So obviously, when she shows up, I pull out my phone because I'm like... My brain just started questioning something straight away. Because she shows up, Bugs Bunny's like, oh my god, who's Lola Bunny? I was like, what do you mean, who's Lola Bunny? Surely you know who Lola Bunny is. And I Google it. I'm like, oh fuck! I never realized that Lola Bunny was actually introduced in Space Jam.
For this.
And now she's grown to such a popularity that really Lola is more popular than Bugs Bunny. Like, I think there was actually merchandising. You can find merch results that say she's more popular on stuff than Bugs Bunny is at this stage. And she was created for fucking Space Jam. And then you get into the whole conversation of all those fuck boys getting angry about the when the director of what's it called? New Generation, Next Generation. I can't remember. New Legacy. Fuck. I just kept calling it Space Jam 2 and failing to remember its actual title. Yeah. Cool. Even though it's technically 3. Come on, like I know it wasn't Space Jam 2, but Looney Tunes Back in Action was basically a sequel. Like, it wasn't Space Jam, but Lola Bunny thing. She is a cool character in this. But to say that she wasn't sexualized in this, I think you're being dumb. Like nearly every she had.
I don't think she is. I think it's because of everybody else's reactions to her. That you know.
I mean, but they wrote the character that way.
I don't think anything of itself.
Bugs Bunny, like, dropping in his mouth.
She's she's sexualized in the same way that women streamers are sexualized. They don't do anything, but it's the audience who's sexualizing them.
I mean,
I think.
Well, no, I think they like the way they like basically every scene. Like, you could have that first scene with Bugs Bunny where he's like, "Oh my god," and that's just very cartoony or whatever. That's fine. Like, I'm not saying that where he's like, you know, hard eyes, mouth drop on the floor. Like, that's sort of just like typical cartoony, like, oh, the girl character type stuff. It's just like they animate her with like a hip walk thing. They
Wow, you're just going to criticize her
no,
walk?
but and then every decision though, like
walk shame.
Every scene that she has where she walks in, there's always like just the way they go about it. So they purposely knew, but they also, and this is from a time like it is from late 90s or whatever. So I don't think this is bad. This isn't like watching it where I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucked up. Like what they do to Lola Bunny. I think
it's not like Betty Boop or something.
No, not all. Like I had no problems watching it, and all in all, Lola is still this strong female character type that they created in this movie. Like she's very much like, I'm not having your shit bugs. I'm not having you shit. Like she's literally don't call me doll. She doesn't have this. Like it is a femme fatale. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. Like it's a femme fatale type character, which is fine, but also femme fatale characters are. They're always like written or directed or whatever as like the very sexualized characters on purpose because that's the stereotype.
That's the tool they use.
So yeah, I'm not saying this is a all up bad thing. I'm just saying for the people who are like, Lola wasn't sexualized in Space Jam. I'm like, yeah, like she's basically a femme fatale, which means yes, she is written in a sexual type way. And I don't think that means that you have to be sitting there jerking it to her. It's just they wrote her as a femme fatale. You know what I'm saying though? Like, does this make sense?
Sure.
Like, and I
really
don't feel like change. Look, I'll hold judgment till I watch fucking whatever Space Jam 2 is called. But the whole like, oh, they got rid of a midriff or whatever.
It's like, it's been 20 something years, you know. She doesn't want to show a midriff anymore.
Like she's getting old, you know.
Maybe. Yeah, she's got the elbow guard wrist thing. She's like,
yeah. It's just because after hearing all those arguments, and then you watch it, and yeah. Now that I've said it out loud, I think that's the best description. She is a very femme fatale type character, which is fine. I don't think it makes it bad per se. I just think for all the arguments of people trying to, because all the people who were going, oh, this changed her in Space Jam 2's fucked. And their reasoning why is because she was never sexualized in the first one. I'm like, well, she was written in a sexy character type way. Like, which is weird to talk about because it's animated. But people are also talking about how they couldn't fucking jerk it to whatever the He-Man Masters Universe spin-off thing. What was it called? She-Ra. Yeah,
She-Ra.
So,
yeah. People are weird. I will also say, interesting to watch this post watching The Last Dance, obviously the big Michael Jordan Bulls documentary, and like having the full backstory of his history of quitting basketball to play baseball, even to the extent of them like recreating that final press conference. Like he delivers that line like almost word for word, like how he said he was happy that his dad got to watch his last final.
Was his dad
game.
actually because I haven't watched The Last Dance still. It's a shame of mine. But was his dad actually a big baseball player or whatever?
I believe so. Yeah, he did like prefer baseball over basketball, but
America's pastime.
So, it was always a thing for him. But yeah, just to see that, and they're like internally being like, he calls him Baldy, and is like, man, he's going to take that personally. Because that's the meme from the show. Every time someone slights Michael Jordan in any way, just takes it personally and like takes it out on the court on you. But yeah, I think a lot of the special effect, or anything CGI based, just doesn't look good.
That first scene when Michael arrives in Looney Tune World, oh my god, that was the worst. Like when when Daffy has him on the chair and like throws him up so high and all that sort of stuff, and all this sort of any of that, I was like, oh, this looks so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. But something like the 2D animation, I think, is pretty solid. Some of it, like, I will say, I enjoyed the designs of both the Monstars and the I think they're called the Nerdlucks when they're little. Yeah, Nerdlucks. They're quite interesting, designs. And I think the first half of the film is really sets it up really well with them stealing these players' basketball prowess, and I think it doesn't help that only 2 of the 5 stars are people you would probably still remember.
Yeah. I think at the time they were all big though, right? So
they're all NBA players, but only people. I think people would only remember Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing out of that group of 5 players.
I remember Charles Barkley, so
yeah. But yeah, and then just the ongoing gag of the NBA wanting to shut down because they're scared of all of them losing their powers, their ability to play basketball. Are very amusing. Yeah, and then obviously the game itself, it was fine. Obviously the highlight of the film of the secret stuff
sauce or whatever secret
scene,
is.
Secret stuff.
Daffy's like, give me some more of that.
It's it's I wouldn't normally do it, but it's almost like a drug endorsement.
It's it's such a weird joke. I don't know if they would do jokes like that today, honestly, about joking about taking sports enhancing drugs in a kids movie, but
yeah. And poor Wayne Knight, poor guy, has to play Michael Jordan's chauffeur, and then he just wants to be on the team. He gets flat.
He comes through at the end, he scores. He's one of a couple of people to score.
He scores. He just gets through.
I don't know how the ball got out,
but
and did that, but pressure built up under the
defying gravity.
Does it?
That too. I mean, this kid, it's kind of brutal. The film ends up with 20 and an eye in your lung and that kind of stuff.
I mean, Looney Tunes are always brutal. They're always getting flattened, destroyed, whatever. Think about cartoons today. Characters just we love everyone. We're best friends. If we have an argument, we'll have a nice conversation about it.
We'll sort out our
cartoons
problems.
From back in the day were I'll drop an anvil on you. Tom and Jerry were literally fucking destroying one another. Dexter and his sister even were killing one another with shotguns. Somewhere early in 2000s, someone was we need to stop encouraging this sort of violence by cartoon characters. Yeah.
And then we have Bill Murray making his big triumphant saving the day, saving the Toon Squad with his appearance, thanks to him being friends with the producers, which is funny because Ivan Reitman is one of the producers of the film, who obviously did Ghostbusters and stuff. And then he saves the day.
What an in-joke for the kids.
Helps set up the play. What an in-joke for the kids, No, that was for the parents. A good joke there. The good fun. The other thing I want to discuss before we end up, soundtrack. Fantastic soundtrack.
Does have a very good soundtrack.
The number of songs that were very what I'm looking at. There were 6 singles released off this soundtrack. Great, the double platinum. 6-time platinum in 2001. The soundtrack was. Of course, everybody remembers "I Believe I Could Fly" by some person.
I was about to make a joke about how a few of the songs are ruined now, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe some of the songs are done by artists that we don't really care about anymore, but a lot of great music in there and a lot of catchy songs and the kind of thing. So, yeah. So having gone back on this, how are you feeling about a new legacy? Are you excited? Not excited? Can it live up to the hype?
Still not excited. I'm gonna watch it. I'm always gonna watch it. I've never been excited though because it just doesn't look. Look, let me put it this way. This is a movie that I just said is bad, but I have a lot of nostalgia for because I watched it as a kid and very much enjoyed it. If I was an adult when this originally came out, I would have been this movie is fucking bad, so ultimately, what does Space Jam New Generation have to be? Has to be enjoyable by the kids. That's the most important factor at the end of the day, and it's going to be it's one of those hard things where I'm going to watch it. If I don't like it, it's really hard for me to be like, oh, well, hopefully the kids enjoy it. So 8 out of 10, you know, like if I think it's bad, I think it's bad. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I don't think what we think or anyone else our age thinks. I think if the kids like it, it's a successful Space Jam movie because the current one is only popular in mainstream pop culture, whatever talk, and has continued to like stick around and word of mouth and sell merchandise and whatever because we as kids liked it so much then. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, but yeah, just everything we've seen about this movie so far is so weird, and it definitely seems like it's going to have more of a story than Space Jam. So
it goes for 2 hours.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah, I think it definitely looks like it's going to end up being Ready Player One with basketball, but from the look of it, but you know, guess we'll wait and see. And if you want to see, go to explosionnetwork.com, where I'm sure we'll be discussing Space Jam: A New Legacy. Let us know what you think of Space Jam. What are your favorite bits? What do you think of Lola Bunny? How about them nerdlucks? Let us know on Twitter by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter, or you can jump to Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. If you want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Or if you thought this episode was worth $1, head on over to a Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/pot and buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
No, I will say, I've seen a lot of merchandise. I went into Target the other day, 2 shelves for merchandise. New Monopoly, Space Jam. I go to Toy World, Space Jam, whole shelf there. They're expecting this thing to sell, to be big. Merchandise is everywhere.
Yeah. If only the jersey didn't look terrible. You mean the classic Toon Squad? White.
No, this coloured bullshit.
None of this coloured, like, going over the pants. Terrible. Now I have to buy pants to match the jersey?
That's called fashion, Ash.
Otherwise, no one will understand.
That's fashion.
Otherwise, just like half a circle on a jersey.
Fashion.